Welcome everybody. Today's tutorial is on Bakasana, crow pose. Probably the most fundamental arm balance, probably the most offered arm balance in a modern day yoga class. If it's not the most commonly offered, it's right up there with any other arm balance out there. It's pretty straightforward, but the setup and just what needs to be done, there's a lot to it, and at the same time it's pretty straightforward. So let's take the arm balance first when we get into the arm balance without taking the arm balance, if that makes any sense. So we're gonna do the arm balance just on our back. But first, before we get going, I just wanna show it so those who are unfamiliar with Bakasana know exactly what I'm talking about. Right, so it's an arm balance where I have my knees on my triceps and I'm kind of creating a rounded back here with my heels hugging in towards my hips. Right, so that's the shape. We're gonna create that shape on our back. So the reason I like to anytime I'm teaching arm balance, I like to teach the arm balance first on the back. Reason for it is, if you're teaching somebody how to swim, right, you're not just gonna toss them into the deep end and say, okay, swim. You're not gonna have somebody do the hardest thing first, which would be to do all of the balancing, doing all the actions of crow pose on our hands, balancing with no feet down. So we'll start on our back to get the actions of what the core needs to be doing, what the legs need to be doing, what the arms need to be doing. So come onto your back. And as you come onto your back, draw your knees into your chest. Keep the inside edges of your feet together. Take your knees wide. So think child's pose legs on your back. Right, so you have the knees wide, inner edges of your feet together. And then peel your shoulders off the floor. Reach your arms through your legs, but on top of your shins. So your arms are on top of your shins. Palms facing forward like you're trying to touch the wall in front of you, and then press off of it. And then curl your knees in towards your armpits. So your tailbone's gonna lift up to get your knees a little bit more towards your armpits. So you're gonna feel the front core is working, right? But press the arms out into the legs. Feel that connection, keep that connection, squeeze the legs into the arms, right? And then continuing to lift the shoulders off, trying to press your hands to the wall in front of you, and then lifting your tailbone off, trying to get your knees in towards your armpits. This is the shape that needs to happen. What people lose a lot of times is this connection of legs to arms. So squeeze the legs as much as you can into your arms. And then go ahead and release. That action of squeezing the legs into your arms is what keeps your legs from sliding off, right? Gravity works, the body wants to fall. What we need to make sure we do is we kind of hook on with the legs and grab on, squeeze on, so that way we can kind of just stay there as much as possible, because the more we can keep the knees up higher on the arms, the more likely we are to balance, right? So we'll do that one more time on our back, right? So inside edges of the feet together, take your knees wide. Curl your shoulders off the floor, reach your arms through your legs, right? And then squeeze your legs as much as you can in your, almost as if you're trying to like break your arms with your legs. And then knees into armpits, lift the shoulders off, press the arms out into legs. Hands are pressing forward. Elbow creases are kind of wrapping up toward the ceiling. Take a breath in, and then go ahead and release. And now you feel, right? When we squeeze the legs into the arms, you feel your inner thigh muscles. When we draw the knees in towards the armpits, we feel our hip flexors. Our hip flexors are working, right? So the legs here, inner thighs, front of the hips, inner hips, right? Those blend in with the core muscles. And then by curling the back, we start to get the rounding of the spine or the belly in there to make the tailbone lighter. So come up to a seat. We'll find the same arm balance, crow pose, now in a seat, right? A little bit different, but pretty much the same. I just want you to get a feel for the shape that we're trying to create. So from here, just kind of walk your feet in a little bit closer. Draw your knees in towards your armpits. Inside edges of the feet together. Reach your arms through your legs. And then squeeze your legs into your arms. Press your arms out into your legs. Think Suzanne Summers, right? Some of you may know Suzanne Summers, Thigh Master. Think it here. Squeeze the legs in the arms. And then from here, think about rounding your upper back. So press your upper back towards the back of the room as you curl in, right? You're trying to create that same little ball you made down on your back. And then go ahead and set your feet down. Maybe you stretch your chest up to give your belly a little bit of a stretch. All right, so it's the same shape. We're trying to create that shape now on our hands. Taking it a step further, we'll do the prep work on our hands for crow. First, I want to show the hand placement. Hands about shoulder width distance, maybe a little bit wider, right? We want the elbow creases to wrap forward. If the elbow creases wrap forward, the only place the elbows can bend if we keep wrapping the elbows in is back and down, which still allows me to use these side muscles here, the lats and the serratus. If my elbows bend out this way, right, I come into this, I can't use these big muscles to support myself. So I'm here, and that's usually when it's not very successful in our crow. So when I set up, I actually turn my hands out slightly, right? So with my right pointer finger, think 1 or 2 o'clock. Left pointer finger, think 10 or 11 o'clock, right? And then that allows me to wrap my elbow creases a little bit forward. When I set up, right, I'm going to set them up shoulder width distance. But with my hands, and I'm going to turn sideways so you can see it, I'm not pressing my palms, I'm not pressing everything flat to the floor. I'm actually trying to create a little bit of a bear claw, right, so I can get my forearms to kick in a little bit. So it's like I'm trying to pull my fingertips to the heel of my hand without letting my knuckles lift. The weight is going to want to go into is where you want it to go. It's not going to want to go here. You want it to press into the pointer finger knuckle and the knuckle of the big thumb. Right, so if I turn this way, you can see it a little bit easier. Pointer finger, thumb, both those spots pressing down. Reason for it. Reason why it's so conscious that we want to press in here. Whenever you have, it's like when you throw a little rock or pebble into a pond, right? The water just doesn't go straight down, right? It pops up and then spreads out. Energy goes out. When there's force going down, the energy goes out. Same thing with our hands. When we put all this weight on our hands, this would be the same thing for chaturanga or plank, right? What tends to happen is we roll out because, right, force is going down just like the rock in the pond. Rock hits the pond, energy goes out. The hands want to lift and kind of roll out. So by pressing the big knuckles of the pointer finger and the thumb into the floor, right, we connect and we have the wrist flat, we keep the wrist safe, and then we're able to really grip with our fingers, right? So reach your arms forward. Turn your pointer fingers to 10 or 11 o'clock with the left hand. 1 or 2 o'clock with the right hand, and then just wrap your elbow creases forward. And then from here, all I want you to do without moving your torso is just press your hands forward, right? Like you're trying to press the wall away from you, right? I'll show it sideways so it's a little bit easier to see. So we're here, right? We're trying to pull our shoulder blades away from each other. That same kind of shoulder action of lifting them off the floor on our back. We're here, right? This is the action we want to go for. Crow spine. Come into all fours. Wrap your elbow creases towards your thumbs. And then from here, think cat pose. So come into cat pose, right? And in cat pose, you're pulling your shoulder blades away from each other and rounding your upper back. Just wrap your elbow creases forward and grip with your fingers. This is the same action of crow spine that we want to look. We don't want to be here in crow. We want to be here. We want cat spine in our crow, right? So now we'll take it a step further. We'll start to work into the arm balance. Biggest thing with an arm balance is knowing that it's not about being strong, it's about being smarter, right? They don't call them arm strengths, they call them arm balance. And what that means, and it gets lost on a lot of people, is not I have to get my shoulders and my core so much stronger. You do, but it's not necessary to get into crow pose. What you need to do is find that balance point, arm balance. So we need to get half our weight forward of our wrist, half our weight back. What is the heaviest part to our balance? In our crow pose, what's the heaviest part? It's our butt, it's our feet, it's our legs, right? That's the heaviest part. So if we know that then we got to get the upper body to shift forward more. We need to lean forward more past our wrist. So first to set up, take your feet either big toes together or knees wide. Get your armpits as close to your inner knees as possible, right? Like you're just trying to come in as tight little ball as you can. Then once you get your inner armpits as close to your inner knees as possible, press the elbows out so you feel that connection. But at the same time, squeeze the legs back into the arms. Set your hands down, not right underneath the shoulders. Take them forward. We already know we have to shift forward to get the butt and the feet lighter. So take the hands a little bit forward, but maintain knees to arms connection. I take them just a little bit to the outside of the arms. Wrap your elbow creases forward. Grip with your fingers. Again, grab that. Press into the pointer finger into the thumb, and then just lift your hips up. Right, and as you lift up, you feel it. Your weight's going to try to shift forward in your hands. And then from here, just shift forward onto your toes. Press into your hands, round your upper back. Think cat pose. Pull your thumbs towards each other. That's going to activate the front of the chest. And then just pick up one foot. Don't look straight down. Look forward. And as you look forward, just shift forward a little bit more. Set your right foot down. Lift your left leg. Press into your hands. Think cat pose. Draw your belly in. Squeeze your legs and your arms. Maintain that connection. Set your left foot down. Come all the way back. Right. So you can feel as you shift forward, you get lighter. As you stay back into your feet, you stay heavy and you're not going anywhere. All right, so let's do it one more time. we'll actually, if you can, try and lift. But the key is, and I see this so many times, people look straight down. Don't look straight down. Look as far forward and down as you can. Look where you're flying. What that does is it helps you reach your chest to where we want to go, because we want the chest, we want the head, we want the torso to shift forward to counter the weight of the butt. All right, so set up. Either inside edge of the feet together, a little bit wider. They can be like hip width distance. Get your armpits as close to your inner knees as possible, right? And then just kind of flare the elbows out to start so you feel that connection. Set your hands down, not underneath the shoulders. Take them forward. We already know we need to go forward, so let's get the hands as far forward as we can without losing connection of knee to arm. Squeeze the legs into the arms as much as you can. And then from here, lift your hips up. But don't lose that Susanna Summers. Keep the thigh master. Squeeze the legs into the arms. Look a little bit more forward. Don't look down. Look forward. Pick up one foot. And then from here, just lean forward. Don't lift your back leg. Just lean forward, feel that toe get light, and then drop both heels into your butt. Press into your hands like you're trying to press your mat away. Round your upper back. Scoop the belly in like we did on our backs. And then slowly set all the way back down. If you're not there yet, get one foot off. Just work one foot off. Stay out there, set the foot down, lift the other foot off, and just keep leaning forward. Where do people go wrong with this? Number one thing people do wrong with this, they don't go far enough forward. They don't even give themselves a chance to find the balance, right? So you're gonna have to do some therapy with yourself and say, you gotta trust yourself, lean forward. Just keep leaning forward. If you feel like you can't get up into your crow, you're not leaning forward enough. Another thing I see is people try to get into it too quick. They'll come up and they'll do something like this. Both feet, or 1 foot, 2 foot. Go slow, right? The slower you move, the more controlled you are. So as I lean forward, right, I can squeeze my legs into my arms. And then I'm just going to pick up 1 foot. I'm not going to try to pick up the other foot. I'm going to lean forward till that foot gets extremely light, and then I can lift, right? Another thing people have trouble with is keeping their knees higher up, right? There's a couple different places you can place your knees on your arms. Number one, you can take them to the outsides like I've been showing you. I think this is the easiest way for most people to get into crow pose. And then you just squeeze the legs into the arms, right? What they have trouble with is then maintaining the legs on the arms. They start to slip. So it's just engaging inner thighs, more squeezing in of the connection of leg and arm. The other place you can get them is just placing your kneecaps right on your triceps. What this tends to do is you can see my hips get a lot higher here and shift forward. And then as I shift forward, I pick up 1 foot, I pick up the other, and I'm here. So it's kind of like my triceps form a shelf, and I just try to get my knees into my armpits to find that. There's nothing wrong with it that way either. What that does is it shifts more weight, there needs to be more strength in the shoulders because it's more weight in the shoulders. The way when you take your legs out to the sides, it's more core-based arm balance. Neither one is a wrong way to do it, they're just different. And if your butt is up high, right, because you're getting your knees into your armpits, right, it's going to be more loaded on the shoulders, which is going to require more shoulder strength. If your knees are out wider and you're squeezing in, it may need a little bit more core strength. So just play around with that. Knees wide, knees into the armpits, and just play around with what kind of works best. Another thing that can help you get your knees up a little bit higher, I don't really do this very much with students. I don't feel like it's super accessible for everybody, is you use a block underneath your feet. This is going to require a lot more inner hip Malasana style flexibility. If you're not sure with Malasana, right, it's a yogi squat. But then that gets your knees up higher on your arms, and then you can lean forward, right, and your weight's already starting to shift a little bit more forward. So if you can get onto a block, you can try it on a block. Another thing, like if you're so scared of falling forward onto your face, you can work what we call baby crow or baby Bakasana. Right, you can always put pillows under your head. I'm not a huge fan of pillows. It's kind of like doing inversions at the wall. They're great, but at the same time they can develop a crutch where you can't do it without that thing. So another way you can do is kind of put another couple pillows there and just lean out and try to touch your nose to the pillow, right? So that way it just gets you to lean forward and you feel safe leaning a little bit more forward than you're comfortable with. But just know if you're going to do it with the pillows, also do it without the pillows. All right, let me actually just grab a pillow real quick and I can show you that real quick.
for those of you who are wanting to see what that looks like, right? You take like 2 pillows, but I'm not going to use it where I'm going to try to put my face all the way into it. What I'm trying to do is lean forward, right? What a lot of people get is they get to here, and they pick up 1 foot, and then they drop back because their butt's too heavy. What the pillow does is it makes you maybe feel a little more comfortable to come forward, tap the nose into the pillow, and lift up. The reason I like pillows rather than using blocks, some teachers will teach you with blocks, is that the blocks allow you to put too much force into the pillow. And when you put too much force into the pillow or into the block, right, it puts too much weight, it just doesn't allow for you to find the balancing point. You're just using it here to stop the head. The pillow is a little bit more givey, so it can shift and move. And then the last little, I'll show you baby Bakasana right now. So that's the pillows. Last little bit, baby Bakasana. I set up the same way. I take one forearm down, way forward. Other forearm down, forward. Both elbows down. And then from here I just shift forward so I can get my knees into my armpits or my tricep. And then I just keep leaning forward, pick up one foot, pick up the other. It's going to feel like your nose is touching the floor because it basically is. But what it allows people to understand is you are strong enough to hold yourself in crow. You just did it. Right? So try baby Bakasana. If you're struggling with leaning forward, try baby Bakasana. Maybe put feet on the blocks. Maybe use the blankets or the pillows. Biggest thing is though, taking them on your back, feel what needs to be done by pressing the arms into the legs, legs into the arms, curl the tailbone in, lift the shoulders up. But once you're up, grip with your fingers and shift your body forward. Do not look down, look forward and down, like you're gliding forward, right? Right, we want to take the weight and shift it as far forward as we can so the feet get light. If the feet are light, your flight is light. If your feet and butt are heavy, you're crashing back down and you're not going far enough forward, okay? Try it out, let me know what you think. Namaste.